This is Present Politics, hosted by leading political strategist Rashad Ritchie and civil rights attorney Robert Patillo. Listen as they interview trendsetters and newsmakers, both local and national. This is our time to talk about political issues that matter to us. Guaranteed to be controversial and always informative. Join us every Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. only on Love 860 WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio. You can also listen online at presentpolitics.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Present Politics. I'm your host, Robert Patillo, here with Rashad Ritchie.
What's up?
On Love 860 AM WAEC. Join the conversation on Facebook, Present Politics, Twitter.com at Present Politics, Instagram, Tumblr, Flickr. What else is there?
We on all that?
We are on everything. We got the Hoot Suite going. Call in 404-355-8699. Again, that's 404-355-8699. Rashad, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. You know, it's a good day today. I'm joined in the studio by a great friend and someone who's been an activist and artist extraordinaire, Mr. Gilbert Young. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Young has, and for those that do not know Gilbert, if you remember the painting of the young African-American male who's bending over, looks like a wall, and he's picking up, reaching down to another African-American male. It's basically a head and an arm.
Good.
He is the originator, artist behind that iconic image. And notably, he is also the only person who has a signed portrait, painted portrait, and a drawn portrait of President Barack Obama signed by President Barack Obama. And my first question is, man, how much is that thing worth?
Well, I don't know. We tried a couple times to get it appraised from the big auction houses in New York and also in London. They had told us they really didn't know at this particular time because it was the only image of a president signed by a president. And so there's nothing like it at this point. So my thing is, it's invaluable to me and my family, so I'm holding on to it as long as I possibly can.
Until the right price comes along, right?
Well, I don't know. Even at that,
but you have no idea who's listening now.
Right.
Be careful.
Okay, well, well, come and tempt me. That's come and tempt me.
So that being said, how much would you sell that for?
Well, we have it online at $10 million.
All right, okay,
that's a start. So that's a good start.
We now realize that he is not coming up off that,
right,
for any reason at the current time.
Right.
But so, how did you get your start in art?
Well, you as a young person, you people identify you when you do something well. And I was fortunate enough to have my first black teacher was an art teacher. And she identified my talent and told my mother that they should get me in a special program.
All right. So when was that?
Oh, I was about 9 years old at the time, and I had been drawing ever since I was 5.
Okay. So for young artists, I have a couple friends. That's how I used to paint back in my younger days, which I haven't done in a few years. But I have a lot of friends who are into the black art movement who bring paintings to the Atlanta Jazz Festival, the Atlanta Black Arts Festival. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them?
Well, you really have to be in this world of the arts. You really have to be committed because it is a long process. It's not a 100-yard dash. It's more like a marathon, and you have to practice, and be patient and be as good as you can be.
Let me say this, because Robert said that he used to be a painter, and Gilbert, you're the serious deal, and you're trying to give good advice. But Robert, if you got your paint set from Hobby Lobby,
no, I got mine from Sam Flax. I got the expensive one, the one where Goodwill's at right now. I got the good one.
You got the good stuff.
Got the good stuff.
Robert, you were really laying it down in the paint world like that.
You just ask around. It was for real.
I think he got it from Hobby Lobby. Continue, Mr. Gill. I don't want you to waste all your wisdom on the guy that has a paint set from Hobby Lobby.
That's from Hobby Lobby.
Continue.
All right. All right. Well, I think then young artists should pick out the heroes and study as much as possible. Study, emulate, and create.
Okay. You know, you've also had this amazing career as an activist as well. You haven't just done the art, but you've also done the work behind the scenes. I remember when I used to host another network, and you came on my show, and at that time, your activism was around the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. statue.
Right.
And explain to the listeners, because it wasn't just you. This was a coordinated movement.
Yes.
And you have some valid points, such as, who was in charge of it, how it was made, the fact that labor work was that organized labor was not involved, that American workers were not involved. But give the listeners a background.
It was even, I think, more detrimental to our community than that, because this would have been the first time that this country has recognized a African American a person and gave it land. We didn't get our 40 acres in the mule. They actually gave up our 4 acres in Washington, D.C. to honor Dr. King. The sad part of that story is that the committee that developed this process went outside our country, went outside our culture to have somebody else to interpret Dr. King. His name is Lee Leixing, and I may be pronouncing it wrong because I'm not of that descent, but he came from China, and they produced the whole thing in China.
But wouldn't some people make the argument, Gilbert, that Dr. King stood for all races, that he was an inclusionist, and this would be part of the Dr. King dream to have him honored by way of China?
Well, Dr. King was, let's go back in history, and of course that's a theory that could be argued, but the real argument is, or the real situation was, that Dr. King fought for the rights of black people in this country, and to give that right away to allow no one of our descent, of our race, to be able to interpret our hero, because he certainly fought for us during the period of time when he was alive. And also, at that time, when he was assassinated, he was on a mission to make sure that garbage workers, the black garbage workers, was getting fair treatment.
That's right.
And, I'm not going to tiptoe around it. I've seen the statue. I've been to D.C. Dr. King looks Chinese. Well, he looks Chinese.
Well, of course he would look Chinese because of the nuances that we put into artwork. We reflect ourselves.
Yeah, there's one thing to paint or to carve somebody from a picture. There's another thing to know what they look like. Dr. King looks like an Asian man in his statue. So I think it's an absolute disgrace and abomination. Everything from the inscription on the statue down to the carving and the selection of the artist itself. Now, I think the other question is, so currently Georgia, under Governor Nathan Deal, is in the process of removing the Capitol statue. What do you think that statue should be replaced with?
Well, it would be great if we could replace it with our own Dr. Martin Luther King here, since he is a hero in the sense. If everybody said he's for everyone, then it should not be any problem of having him erected on the steps of a Capitol here.
Absolutely. I just wanted somebody to say it besides me, because right now, any of our listeners, if you go to the Georgia State Capitol today, 2013, almost 2014, there are more statues of dogs than there are of black people.
That's correct.
That is a fact.
And that's a tragedy. Now, let me go back to the monument in Washington. One, I know that there are some strong feelings on both sides of it. I kind of use a sifter mentality, where how everything about it isn't bad, but I try to sift that part out. I think the essence of it and the idea behind it was good, and I think some of the carry out it needed work, but you have what you have now.
Well, but see, here again, we're just settling for someone else's interpretation of ourselves.
Okay.
So,
That's a valid point.
Now, if this was not a gift. A small group of people got together and purchased this.
They paid top dollar.
Purchased this statue. So it was no accident where it came from and how it got here. It wasn't like the Statue of Liberty, a gift to the country. Now, if anything, why don't we give it to China? Give it back and see if they'll put it up in Tiananmen Square, where there was a political uprising at one time, and show the humanity in that country.
You have a great point, because Dr. King's message and ideology and theology would not have been, nor would be, tolerated in China to this day.
To this day. And one of the things, if you look at history, at the time that Dr. King was around and was alive before his assassination, the government called him a lapdog of this government.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things. Like, what do you think this generation of leadership, of activism, can learn from Dr. King? Because far too often in this generation, Black history and the history of the movement is summarized into, you would think that it happened in one day. This is my interpretation of Black history as it's taught in elementary schools right now. One day, Dr. King and Abraham Lincoln got together in the White House. They had lunch and decided that Rosa Parks was going to let all the Black folks be free. They rode the Magic School Bus down to slavery and took them all back to freedom. Later on that day, they had the March on Washington, and he did the I Have a Dream speech and was shot, and then Barack Obama was elected president. That's the way the Black history is taught to Negro children today. So what do you think this generation of Black leadership can learn from the struggles of the 1960s and 70s?
Well, one of the things I think Black leadership has, for the most part, let us down. Okay, and that we have not put any academics to what you just said. That we don't have the scholars coming out and doing the top research and the documentation of what really happened behind the scenes of the movement. One of the things that people don't realize, that art was a big conscious part of the Black movement. All right, when the brothers that raised their fists at the Olympics, that image went around the world, right, and impacted the Black community. And you saw all kinds of art with the Black fist and Black power, and the large afros that we were wearing. We created walls of dignity in Detroit, and murals outside, all our heroes. So, but one thing has been lacking, that is scholarship around that movement, and these kids have, with this technology, a great opportunity to reach back, to document some of these people's lives. They're still alive. And with the media that we have today, the internets and the tweeters and all kinds of things that we have, we should be talking about these issues.
Well, we're going to shift, because Gilbert, as we continue to talk about activism and the role that it has played historically and the role that it plays today, I want to talk about something that you, me, Derek Bozeman, other people, we were involved in, and that is the issue at Washington High School, mm-hmm, and the fact that those kids were living in subpar conditions. Our children had to go to a school with active growing mold in the school. And there was an outcry. There was an outrage. So I want to talk to you about what you did behind the scenes to assist with making sure that situation was reconciled. And even if it has been reconciled, because some people are still calling for the heads of the superintendent and the administrative staff over at Washington. You are listening to Love 860 WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio, Present Politics with Rashad Ritchie and Robert Patillo.
Hello, this is Aaron Watson, your Atlanta City Council member, Post 2 at Large, encouraging you to register for Atlanta's Cry Wolf false alarm system. It is a free program aimed at reducing false burglary and security alarms at your home and business. When there's a false alarm and Atlanta police respond, they are pulled away from true emergencies. When you register with Cry Wolf, you are saving yourself from paying fines up to $150, and you are keeping our police focused on fighting crime. This is your Atlanta City Council member, Aaron Watson, reminding you to register online at crywolf.us/AtlantaGA or call 1-855-725-7102.
The lawyers of Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman offer the quality, experience, and expertise of a big firm, but with the personalized, client-centered approach to legal services that only a smaller firm can offer. Practice areas include personal injury, auto accidents, slip and fall, and negligent security, plus on-the-job injury, bankruptcy, family law, business and corporate law, wills and estates, and charter schools. Call today to see why Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman should be your one-stop law shop for all of your business and personal needs. Conveniently located in Decatur, within 5 miles of both 285 and I-20. Call and schedule an appointment right now. 404-289-2244. 404-289-2244. Or go online to jhclawyers.com. The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Your station a bit fuzzy? Away on vacation and you don't want to miss your morning show? Well, you can bring them with you everywhere you go. iHeartRadio, the best of live radio, plus custom stations you create featuring your favorite artists and music. Go to iHeartRadio.com now or download the free app on your mobile phone or tablet.
The gospel indie community is answering the call to aid one of their own in her fight against cancer. Join us for a Jubilee Journey, a benefit concert in honor of Yasmin, formerly of Sweet Honey in the Rock, November the 9th, 5 p.m. at The Globe, 2178 Highway 138, Stockbridge, Georgia. Enjoy great music, food, and help make a difference in the medical journey of Yasmin. Admission is free. For more information or to donate to this worthy cause, go to www.thepgnetwork.org until December the 31st. By faith, we are our brother's keeper.
Don't let this harvest pass.
All right, guys, and we're back. You're listening to Love 860 WAEC, Atlanta's Inspirational Talk Radio. I'm your host, Rashad Rich, along with co-host Robert Patillo. This is Present Politics. We're continuing our subject, but we're going into another segment. We're still talking about activism, sitting here with the great Gilbert Young, artist extraordinaire. If you don't know him, Google him, find his work. I know he's all over YouTube. He's all over the internet. I know he has his website, and we're going to make sure he gives that out at the end of the program, at the end of the segment. But I want to talk to you about something that infuriated me, and I know it infuriated you. And that's when we found all of this mold in Washington High School. Now, let me tell you what made it even more critical. The PTA, or PTSA as it's called now, they had been calling for renovations of this school for years. This isn't something brand new. They've been saying that the building is falling apart. The building needs renovation. We need to do something better with this historic school, because Washington High was the first school built for African-American kids. A lot of people didn't know that. So it's a very historic building. And so a lot of the alumni got together when this stuff happened. And, you know, those alumni, some powerful people. You got some powerful folks in that alumni. And what are they doing now?
Well, at this point in time, I believe that they're very aware down at the board of the concerns that the community has, and trying to get them to act on those concerns. And I know the response from the man who's running the school system was not adequate, and we've been trying to call him out. Now, you asked what did I do? I did what most people do. I went over and joined the group of people, and I did what I needed to do, and that is I fit in where he told me to fit in. And I passed out pamphlets and leaflets and knocked on doors and drove up and down the street trying to make people aware. You know, you don't have to do a lot collectively, if you get on board on these issues, you'll be surprised what your participation will cause. You know, people. There's always power in a group, and we need to do more of that. Even though if you just stood there, you're doing something. If you get up and say, I'm going over there to see what is going on with our children. Too many times when I hear talk radio shows, people will talk about themselves. I don't have this. I don't have to worry about health. I got health insurance, blah, blah, blah. It is not about you. It is about the community. It is about the rest of it. That's why I created He Ain't Heavy. It wasn't about me at that particular time. And I'm not certainly the guy that can reach down and pull everyone up. It's about whomever believes that they can help someone in this community. We should be doing that.
You know what's powerful about He Ain't Heavy, your painting, is that I see it from a duality. That for me, in my interpretation, what I see is that there have been times when I've been the brother that's been lifting up somebody. There have been a whole lot more times when I'm the brother being lifted up by somebody. And honestly, if you tell yourself the truth to the listeners listening out there, you've been on both sides of that equation.
Most of the time.
There you go.
Most of the time. Yeah. And if they got the larger version of it, they would have seen what I said about that. I'm trying to remember my quote here. I said he ain't heavy. He's my brother. He's my sister. He's my family. He's my community. And we must forgive each other for not being perfect so that the lifting will be easier. Sometimes I will give a hand and sometimes I will need a hand.
Powerful.
Now, I've heard some people interpret it as, or that the He Ain't Heavy painting as someone trying to pull you down, but instead you pull them up. What was your original thought in creating the painting?
It's just reaching down and trying to lift someone up.
Robert, so Robert said he's heard that. I think he heard that from some of his Hobby Lobby friends that got their paint set, and the paint set name is Crayola. All right, because I ain't never heard that interpretation of He Ain't Heavy.
This is the thing about art. This thing about music. That's why it's so great to talk to the person who created it, the originator, because by the time you're done, by the time it makes its way around the world and back,
it's all types.
Yeah, people come up with their own interpretations
and their own title and their own name.
Exactly.
You know, I heard it was each one reach one, each one teach one.
You've been mimicked too. I know you had to get copyright issues taken care of.
Well, here's the thing. People worry about someone stealing something from them constantly. I'm going to tell you something. They don't steal something that has no value. When I went to New York and saw my stuff on the streets, I knew that I was somebody because they were copying it and they were selling it. And I could not collect all those dollars.
I'm sure you tried.
I tried in my own way to make myself go out here and make those dollars. Sure. But I could not stop those other individuals. It was just, it's bigger than, if you're the originator, I'm the original.
Right.
And
nobody can
take that away. Now they can say, well, I did it, and we all know you didn't do it. Okay. Well, I've seen so many copies of it. I had people to call me up. I even had a post office group to actually put it on their jackets.
What?
Yeah, they were a union in Texas somewhere, and they decided that was a great image, and they had it on their jacket.
Nice. What an honor. What an honor. You also did an unveiling for one of our famed civil rights heroes here in Atlanta. Has been around, continues to. I mean, the brother he's getting up there in age, but the brother has so much energy. And we're talking about C.T. Vivian.
Yeah.
And you had the great honor of unveiling to him a portrait of himself as a younger man. Give the audience a history of how this even came about and why you were honoring him at City Hall.
Well, first of all, Dr. Vivian is going to receive the Medal of Freedom from the president, and the city is honoring him for that award itself in the history of him, and I happen to be, and I humbly say, a friend of him, and that which is a great honor and. What the wonderful thing about C.T. Vivian is that when you're talking to him, he actually listened to you like you really have something to say.
I agree. He does. I've seen him listen to people that were saying absolutely nothing.
Nothing, but he would listen to you, and he would just say, smile with that smile.
Yeah.
And we had talked about having a portrait gallery here of the movements which have taken place in Atlanta. I mean, I came to Atlanta because I wanted to be around the giants of this society, of this community, and around the world. You know, Atlanta has an image, and the image is that it is the cradle of the civil rights movement. And I come from Cincinnati some 20 years ago to be here to have just play a little role in that, and to follow the people that have been my heroes, to see them, actually see them. And so I had the great opportunity to be commissioned by someone who doesn't want to be named, to say, I want you to do a portrait of Dr. Vivian.
All right, and you after such a long career, after so many transcendent paintings, what do you have on the horizon for people who are fans of you? What can they expect from you going forward?
Well, I'm creating. Thank you for asking that, because I'm creating a new series of. I'm redoing some of the great masters' piece, and I'm doing it in my flavor with my people in it. Okay, so I'm saying to the world, yes, they were great masters, and if they might have been here in my time, they might have chose one of us to paint. But so they wasn't, and they have not been able to do that because it was in the past. They were lived in the past. But I'm currently working on 7 different paintings with 7 different styles, because I'm a former curator and conservator that I have to match other people's work to repair paintings and so on. So I said it would be great for me to reinterpret their works and come out with a series of things that you see these old classics and everyone knows them. And so now I'm going to do about 7 of them and hope that it's successful.
All right, so are we expecting like a black Mona Lisa, a black Michelangelo? What can they look forward to?
We're talking about that. It's kind of
okay. All right. See, we brought you on the show.
Right.
All of a sudden, stuff get G14 classified. So that's G14 classified. All right.
Right.
Okay.
We want somebody.
You tried, Robert.
Yeah.
I tried. I want to know.
You tried. All right. G14 classified. We got it.
All right. Well, I think that one of the great things is that because we have so few African American museums in this country, we have so few African American art festivals, that having someone who's a living legend, not just a legend, but someone who's still active in pushing the movement forward is so important for young artists. So people who are in a situation where they're painting, they're making good work, who are making not just good but great work and striving to go forward. What advice would you give them to just not give up the fight?
Well, I'm going out as soon as I leave here. Matter of fact, I'm going out to a group of artists that had been in a workshop all day long, and I think they were there Friday and Saturday. And I'm going to be the keynote speaker at the end of that workshop. And one of the things I have to talk about is their ego and their willingness to learn and to be criticized. And because it is a growth process. And when you have the criticism, you see, I do that a lot, but I also take criticism from the person that I am criticizing. I allow them to look at me and say, what if you were doing it? What would you do different?
Yeah, that sounds like a marriage. That is great advice. Gilbert, tell the listeners how they can connect with you, look at your art. I've been on your website before, and it's beautiful. And like Robert said, transcendent. That's a great descriptive term for your artwork. But tell the listeners how they can connect with you.
Well, they can go on it's GilbertYoungArt.com, and I'm on Twitter, and just Google my name, and it all pops up, and then hopefully that you come on and talk to me, and on some of the sites that I'm on, and just enjoy, because I love what I do, and I love my people.
He said, "Don't ask no questions. Just Google me.
Just Google me.
You'll find out."
That's like one of those lines you use at the club.
Exactly.
Like, who are you? Girl, you got a smartphone. Just Google me. That's it. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for being here on Present Politics.
All right.
Thank you for what you're doing for our community. I'm honored to have you in here. You are a living legend.
Thank you
You
so
are
much.
one of our famed individuals in the movement. And you're not, and I remember you told me this one time. You said you're okay with being a great black artist, right? You told me that one time. And I told you, you're not a great black artist to me. You're just a great, great, great artist. One of the best on God's green earth. And brother, we thank you. We love you. And you are always part of the Love 860 WAEC family.
Thank you so much. And we're going to throw the break right now. You're listening to Present Politics on Love 860 AM WAEC. Don't forget to call in 404-355-8699. We'll be back after the break.
The lawyers of Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman offer the quality, experience, and expertise of a big firm, but with the personalized, client-centered approach to legal services that only a smaller firm can offer. Practice areas include personal injury, auto accidents, slip and fall, and negligent security, plus on-the-job injury, bankruptcy, family law, business and corporate law, wills and estates, and charter schools. Call today to see why Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman should be your one-stop law shop for all of your business and personal needs. Conveniently located in Decatur, within 5 miles of both 285 and I-20. Call and schedule an appointment right now. 404-289-2244. 404-289-2244. Or go online to jhclawyers.com. The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Hello, this is Aaron Watson, your Atlanta City Council member, Post 2 at Large, encouraging you to register for Atlanta's Cry Wolf False Alarm System. It is a free program aimed at reducing false burglary and security alarms at your home and business. When there's a false alarm and Atlanta police respond, they are pulled away from true emergencies. When you register with Cry Wolf, you are saving yourself from paying fines up to $150, and you are keeping our police focused on fighting crime. This is your Atlanta City Council member, Aaron Watson, reminding you to register online at crywolf.us/AtlantaGA or call 1-855-725-7102.
House of Nisi Ministries is sponsoring its annual Thanksgiving turkey dinner giveaways to families in need. Each dinner consists of a fully cooked turkey, side dishes, and rolls, and serves 4 to 6 people. The dinners are prepared by local Metro Atlanta grocery stores, Kroger and Publix. You must be at least 18 and a resident of Metro Atlanta. 1 dinner per household. Registration deadline is November 21st. Register online at houseofnisi.org. Nisi is spelled Nissi, or simply call 404-978-2254. That's 404-978-2254.
Tune your radio.
Tune in
now. You can tune into this radio station on any smartphone or tablet. iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Nokia, Samsung, Windows phones, or whatever you have. Download the free TuneIn app from your phone or tablet's app store. Tune in with music, sports, news, and comedy from over 70,000 radio stations around the world, including this Beasley Broadcast Group station. Check it out at tunein.com or your app store.
All right, guys, and we're back. Love 860 WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio. You are listening to Present Politics with Rashad Ritchie and Robert Patillo, where we discuss the present politics of today. We just had a great guest, Gilbert Young, who has just left the studio because he has to do a whole bunch of other stuff with a bunch of other artists. But we are appreciative of what Gilbert Young not only does in giving us great art that we can interpret, great black art, great community art, great activism art, but the fact that he walks his art. He walks his art. I like that term. Robert, I just made that up. He walks his art.
I'm almost certain you did not make that up.
I think I did.
No.
Listen, can a listener out there Google that? Because I think I'm the first one to say he walks.
You are not the first person to say that. No, not at all.
I feel like I'm 50 Cent in here.
No, but I'm certain. But the good thing is on this show, the diversity of this show, that we are spanning all generations on the show. We had our previous guest what was he, 71,
He's 72. Gilbert Young Gilbert is 72 years old, but the guy is quick, fast, in a hurry, man. I can't say what he was saying earlier with my executive assistant, but
what's interesting is our next guest is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Opposite
as far as age.
Let me tell you about this young lady. She is her name is I'm bringing up. I'm going to do. We got a drum roll or something? We got hand claps. All right. So we have Elizabeth Kringer, and Elizabeth is, in my opinion, one of the brightest, youngest political operatives coming up in the scene right now. She's already a sophomore in college. She has went through CBC training, which is our Congressional Black Caucus training, which is in D.C. She's one of the stars there. She has worked as an intern in the government congressional office, and now she currently serves with me as an executive intern for the Congressman Hank Johnson campaign office, and she does a whole lot more, and we'll get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Liz Kringer.
Hello, you guys. It's awesome being here with you. I'm really excited.
Well, I appreciate you coming up. There we go. All right. So what I want to talk to you about, because I asked you to put together something. We discussed you putting together some numbers for young people, because we had our municipal elections, and we had these elections all over the state of Georgia. We had some upsets here in Atlanta. We had some upsets around the state. And I know there was one election that I was involved in, and it had a difference of 6 votes, 6 single votes. I've been involved in elections where I've won by 1 vote, I won by 17 votes, I've won by 8 votes. And when you look at the youth vote and how it was simply non-participatory, those young people, just a fraction of those young people that chose not to show up could have changed the dynamic of their own government. So, Liz, give us what you've been able to find in your research.
Well, I was looking over there really into Clarkston for the most part, because Ted Terry.
Ted Terry, we had him on this broadcast, and we predicted it. He would be elected the youngest mayor in Georgia. And guess what? He is now the mayor-elect and the youngest one in the state to do it.
Yeah, and him being so young, I knew that young voters need to get out and vote. And looking at the elections, we saw that. It wasn't too close of a race, but it was closer than it could have been. But the election could have changed completely if young voters didn't come out at all. And you saw that in different counties. I live in Bibb County, and we have very low.
And for those that don't know, that's Macon, Georgia.
It is in Macon, Georgia, and we don't have high turnouts for young voters. So we have a lot of older politicians who have been there for years and years, and they're not going anywhere because our parents are still voting the same people that they voted in years ago. We're not releasing our voice and saying, hey, we need something new. So I was doing a lot of numbers on there. And if the young voters, so we have a whole bunch of people registered in Bibb County who can vote, who are, they're eligible to vote, but they don't get out to vote. And if they all decided to go out and vote, the whole election could change. It'll be a complete different outcome.
So the difference between the difference between the individual who won or lost can be made up in the actual voters that are young and chose not to vote.
Exactly. And that's how it is with several different counties here in Georgia. I live in Bibb County, so I see it out there a lot. But looking in Newton County and stuff, we have a lot of just older people who stay in positions where we should be rotating positions, but the positions aren't getting rotated because the new voters aren't voting. And when I say new voters, I'm not talking about 25 and stuff. I'm talking about we're 18 and we're 24 and stuff, and we're new voters. We're not seasoned. We don't know as much about politics, but we know what needs to be changed.
And
in
I think for the
politics.
point, the listeners should know you're a sophomore in college. You're doing a great job, and you're only 18 yourself.
Exactly.
And you're extremely politically engaged. And I know you are doing your best to bring more young people. I think I'm 32 years old. I can't bring a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds to come out and register to vote. And yes, you can register to vote at 17 before people start writing us saying you can't register at 17. You can register at 17.
And, one thing that I think is important about getting young people involved is I used to be the young person, Rashad used to be the young person also involving, whenever we had a conference or something. It's like, what the youth representative would be Rashad Ritchie or Robert Patillo. Yeah. And now we old. We old.
Yeah,
and we
right,
fat,
exactly.
And, we got mortgages and we're tired.
I don't know, man. Listen, I'm pleasantly plump, sir. All right, you speak for yourself on that one. All right, I'm still holding my own over here.
Look, you tell Rashad to run a 40-yard dash right now. He will get 15 yards and call 911. But what do you think are some things that the youth voters, that people under 25, what are some issues that motivate them?
Well, a few things. Actually, on Election Day, last Tuesday, I was so excited. I was like, yes, it's Election Day. I just turned 18 this year, so I wasn't able to vote in the presidential election or anything. And apparently we didn't have elections in my county where I live, but I knew a whole bunch of people who did live in the county. So I was going around my school. I was like, hey, are you guys registered to vote? Are you voting? They all looked at me crazy, and they're like, we are not voting. We're not going out there. So I forced them to get in my car, and I drove them to their election polls, and I was like, you guys are voting. And on the drive, I was on the drive, I was asking them, like, why didn't you guys want to participate? And they felt like they weren't involved in the political system, like only adults are involved. But then as I spoke to them and told them information about like what's going on in their community, like I drove someone to Gordon to vote for Marianne Whipple-Lou.
Oh, yes. I know Miss Whipple-Lou.
Yes, I drove.
Did Miss Whipple-Lou win?
She did.
Wonderful.
Yep, she's mayor-elect.
She ran for state house before, and she was unsuccessful at that, but she ran a good campaign. So that's great.
She ran for mayor.
Love it.
He went and voted. He's like, well, thank you for informing me what was going on in my county and who I need to vote for or suggest it. So I think like if we got more young voters involved in what was going on in our political system, even just conversation, not forums. Young voters, we're not into forums. I've realized that. Like I interviewed several different people, like over 30 people on Election Day, and they simply said they're not into forums. If they were involved on a personal level, they would vote.
And I think that's one of the mistakes. I remember, and I hosted a show. This was a while ago on another network, and I talked about, every time there's a tragedy that involves a young person, we do a few things. We're going to do a forum, we're going to do a rally, we're going to do a press conference. Okay, and then after that, we're going to do what, Robert? A march.
Exactly. We're going to do a march and we're going to go home and do nothing.
Right, exactly. Because there's no true personal engagement. And what you're saying, start with the personal engagement, continue with the personal engagement, end with the personal engagement.
Exactly. And when things happen, like Trayvon Martin type things, when big things happen, we're already engaged and we're aware of what's going on. Like you guys speak about gun laws and all that stuff all the time on this show. You guys are getting people involved constantly. So we as the youth, we can listen to you guys' show and say, hey, we're getting involved on what's going on in the political realm. And it's comfortable talking with you guys because you guys are really down to earth. It's not so uptight. So
well, Robert has his moments, but for me,
Yeah, so, we're getting involved constantly. And I think
I'm giving Robert a hard time. Go.
Well, so one of my questions is, so your generation, what would 18-year-olds be considered? Millennial or post-millennial or?
Man, I stopped keeping up with that stuff.
I know. It was Generation X, right? Generation Y, millennials, and then folks, just people. I don't.
Do you know the term now?
I don't know what y'all generation is called. Twitter.
To go with the flow.
We'll call them the Twitter generation.
Twitter nation.
Yeah, the Twitter generation. So with the Twitter generation, I think one thing that I find whenever I talk to candidates who are my age or older, 29 or older, their biggest question is, how do we get these voters involved? So what are the things that you think appeal to voters in that 25 to 18 to 25 range?
Things that appeal to us, coming to us. We don't have to go to you. Like, you don't enable us to go to you. You come to us and have conversation with us like we're normal people, not like we're just a vote,
Oh, man, that's powerful. Because, listen, you go canvassing, and I know I've seen it with my own eyes. You will have an elected official. They'll just say, how old are you? You 19? You vote. You need to vote. Let me tell you why you need to vote. And then they start talking about slavery. They start talking about, no, I'm serious.
He's serious.
They start talking about people dying, which is all correct and accurate and historical, but they never talk about what's relevant to that young person. But if you went to somebody that's 38 years old, you wouldn't start talking about slavery. You wouldn't start talking about how many people die so you have the right to vote. You would start talking about things that are relevant to that 38-year-old
like
and how
millage rates.
Like the millage rate, property
exactly,
taxes, services from City Hall.
Student loans.
There you go, back to the 19-year-old.
I mean, come
exactly.
on.
Exactly. Powerful point.
We're on different levels now, and I think they do need to understand that, because I promise you, most of us fall asleep in history class. We don't need to hear it from a politician, Sure. We need to hear what's going on, how you're going to help us, I'm not going to say we're a selfish generation, but we're more of a me generation.
They are a very
I think that's one of the same, Liz.
Generation.
I think when you say we're not a selfish generation,
that
but we're more of a me generation.
Most
I think that's
let it say the same thing, but we're not all selfish, but a good majority of us are. So we need to hear things that are benefiting us rather than things that benefited our ancestors.
She's just letting you know, if you are on the side of the road, broken down and starving, do not call anyone under 25.
That's it. That's all.
It's over. It is over.
Yeah,
There's
because
nothing
this
you
is
can do
not
about
helping
it.
them.
Nope. So what you gonna do for me where you live? Nothing.
Well,
all right. So another question that I have is, so ways of connecting, because every candidate that I speak to wants to run for office, their first question is, so what can I do about social media? Do I just put up a Facebook page and then 100 million people like me? Do I just start tweeting and then I get Ashton Kutcher and everybody else starts following me? What do they need to do to connect with this generation?
Well, I do recommend going to different schools and stuff. Go from high school seniors to freshmen in college. We're always so excited to hear that we're finally adults.
Sure.
So coming to us saying, hey, this is your adult right, this is your duty as an American citizen, blah, blah, blah. It makes us feel empowered. So coming to us and giving us the confidence and the empowerment of saying that our vote is more than just a vote, it actually means something. So I think coming to us and explaining to us what our importance is in the political system, So coming out to us, and I think Facebook is really important. Definitely if you put don't always put stuffy pictures. We care to see, personal stuff. So
Sure.
We're nosy.
Well, Liz, give us a last closing thought to our listening audience.
Okay, let me see. I actually wrote one down.
Oh, she got some stuff written. You do it better than me.
Well, what I always tell my friends, I was like, it's your right, it's your voice, so let your voice be heard. Your voice isn't heard singly, but your voice is heard through a representative, and the only way you get that representative in is by voting that representative in. So if you want your voice truly heard, you need to, vote.
Powerful. And all my young people who are listening right now, you're driving or you're at work, I want you to remember something. Everything around you is a vote. When you're looking at that speed limit, that's somebody's vote. When you're looking at the regulations on your vehicle that you're driving, that's somebody's vote. When you're looking at getting 10 years for an ounce of weed because it was your third conviction, guess what? That was somebody's vote that made that happen. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, you will never escape the vote. Everything around you was somebody else's vote. Remember, put people in powerful places that will put you in powerful places. Thank you, Liz. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to head a break. You're listening to President Politics on Love 860 WAEC. Don't forget to call in 404-355-8699. Join us on social media at PresidentPolitics.com. We'll be back after the break.
Hello, this is Aaron Watson, your Atlanta City Council member, Post 2 at Large, encouraging you to register for Atlanta's Cry Wolf false alarm system. It is a free program aimed at reducing false burglary and security alarms at your home and business. When there's a false alarm and Atlanta police respond, they are pulled away from true emergencies. When you register with Cry Wolf, you are saving yourself from paying fines up to $150, and you are keeping our police focused on fighting crime. This is your Atlanta City Council member, Aaron Watson, reminding you to register online at crywolf.us/AtlantaGA or call 1-855-725-7102.
The lawyers of Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman offer the quality, experience, and expertise of a big firm, but with the personalized, client-centered approach to legal services that only a smaller firm can offer. Practice areas include personal injury, auto accidents, slip and fall, and negligent security, plus on-the-job injury, bankruptcy, family law, business and corporate law, wills and estates, and charter schools. Call today to see why Johnson Hopewell Coleman should be your one-stop law shop for all of your business and personal needs. Conveniently located in Decatur, within 5 miles of both 285 and I-20. Call and schedule an appointment right now. 404-289-2244. 404-289-2244. Or go online to jhclawyers.com. The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Are you frustrated with your current job? Not making the type of money that you know you are worth? Is it time for a change? Maybe it's time you considered starting your own home-based business. Autopilot Marketing has helped thousands of people just like you get started working from home. Whether it's an extra $250 to $500 per month part-time or a six-figure full-time income, anything is possible. You don't need any special skills or experience. Anyone can succeed with Autopilot Marketing. Take our free video tour and find out if this opportunity is right for you. Go to income49.com now. That's income, the number 49.com. Take our free video tour today and start earning money as early as next week. Go to income49.com. That's income, the number 49.com.
He has the family name and the unmistakable Carter smile. But for Democrat Jason Carter, grandson of former President Jimmy Carter, it's still a tough road to becoming Georgia's next governor.
I never hear anybody who thinks my grandfather wasn't a good man. And again, that's the most important thing to us.
How are you different from your grandfather?
Well, you know, it's a different time and it's a different era. And we've certainly got policy differences and we don't agree on every issue. But, you know, I love him and he's my grandfather. He gives me advice and sometimes I take it.
And he'll probably need all the advice he can get. Georgia voters haven't elected a Democrat governor since 1999. Republicans control every statewide office. Partisan lines are defined strongly by race.
Right now, statewide candidates for the Democratic Party in Georgia have a hard time getting more than 20 to 25% of the white vote. Jason Carter's challenge is to really increase the share of the white vote in Georgia, while at the same time really mobilizing large numbers of minorities to come out and vote for him.
And Carter may have to distance himself from his family's legacy to reach conservative voters. The Carter presidency is often labeled a failure by Republicans. Jason's father, Jack Carter, lost a bid for Senate in Nevada in 2006. Jason's cousin, James Carter, enraged Republicans by leaking the now infamous video of Mitt Romney's 47% comment in 2012. Is that going to help you or hurt you going forward?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, this race is going to be about me and my ideas and whether the people of Georgia trust me to lead the state.
Carter knows he will need more than a famous grandfather to win in his home state. He says the Carter name is just a reference point for voters. The hard work comes in filling the rest in. Investing in education, making college more affordable, supporting the middle class are early themes behind Carter's campaign. And fundraising is underway. For Out Front, David Mattingly, CNN.
All right, guys, and that was a clip from CNN News, and obviously we're talking about Jason Carter, who has now recently announced that he is running for governor of Georgia. Along with him is Connie Stokes, who's running for lieutenant governor. Now, I wanted to bring a professional in the studio today to go over what a Jason Carter, Connie Stokes, governor, lieutenant governor ticket will look like. And I called a friend of mine, one of the smartest people I know, and I asked her to be on the program and to shed some light on what this means for our state, because to me, this is serious. Now, we talk about politics and we joke around about some of the things that happen, but it's no joke that Georgia is the only state in the United States of America with a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, both houses Republican controlled, 2 Republican U.S. senators. The list goes on and on and on. That's not a political party. That's a regime. And it's time for a regime change. Our students have suffered. Our elderly have suffered. Our immigrant workers have suffered. Our minorities have suffered. Labor, organized labor, has suffered, and it's time for a change. Liz Flowers is the principal in E. Flowers and Associates, a media and government relations consulting firm. She's done everything in her background. She's been vice president of public affairs and marketing for Planned Parenthood in Los Angeles, associate director of the ACLU of Southern California, executive director of Georgians for Better Choice, executive director for the Georgia Network and to End Sexual Assault, and public affairs manager for the YWCA of Greater Atlanta. And her list goes on and on and on. And she is now currently the executive director of our Georgia Democratic Senate Caucus. And Liz, welcome to Present Politics.
Thank you, Rashad. I'm delighted to be here with you, friend.
Well, listen, I'm glad that you're here. All right. Straight up question. What does a Jason Carter, Connie Stokes ticket mean to the state of Georgia?
What it may mean is a perfect storm for the Republican Party.
Well, you know, Republicans have already said that about what's happening with Senator Michelle Nunn. Well, I'm sorry. I hope that was prophetic. I hope that was a prophecy coming through with senatorial candidate Michelle Nunn, that Republicans have gone on the record to say that that's probably a perfect storm also, all right, against the Republicans.
That's right. That's right. And we all know in Georgia, you know as much as anybody else, that this state is a lot more evenly split between the Republicans and Democrats than we have currently elected. And as you also well know, that a lot of that is because of the gerrymandering that's occurred here. Which for the listeners is the redrawing of district lines to make sure one party stays in power over the other.
I remember when that fight happened, and I was on talk radio at another station at that time, and I was intimately involved because I was the political director of the Democratic Party of Georgia at that time. And I remember so many arguments, so many fights, so many conflicts. And at the end of the day, the Republicans knew what they needed to do. They needed to draw lines so that they had a higher white and Republican population in order to draw out Democrats, so Democrats being able to be competitive in those districts. Now, we're talking statewide. How do you think that will come back in a statewide election?
Well, in a statewide election, there's a lot more room for us, as you know. And look, the Republicans see the same numbers that we do.
Right.
So, you know, that all of that long view gerrymandering was a plan on their part to suppress the Democratic vote, to suppress the vote of people of color, to suppress the vote of women. Because at the end of the day, these districts, the way they're drawn, still have millions of people who need to be represented, you know, at the state house, at the congressional level, at the state. So all of this means for us is a shift in policies that better favor the families and the people of Georgia versus the corporations and the politicians of Georgia. I mean, make no mistake, everything that's been happening with the GOP has been politics over people. It's about setting up careers and piggy banks for a lot of folks who care nothing more than about getting a paycheck, and then leaving aside the people of Georgia, the people who are struggling to pay a light bill. The people who are figuring out how to fix a car, knowing that their employer is cutting back their hours.
Now, I want to get into some of the politics of Senator Jason Carter. He is a state senator, and he's done a phenomenal job as far as I can tell. There are educators that have already called me referencing another opponent in the race, and they want to know Senator Carter's stance on education. Of course, I know this guy's pro-education. He's always had a record for that, and he has made sure in his press conference that it is part of the campaign. It's part of his platform.
Yes.
All right. Can you give the listeners a little more detail? I'm going to bring Robert into this conversation as well. Robert, unfortunately, your friends Herman Cain and Mitt Romney are not running this time. All right. So we're going to have to deal with State Senator Jason Carter.
Hey,
go ahead, Rob. You got to defend yourself.
No. After the education section question, we have all kinds of things to bring in on the governor's race. So,
okay. All right. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right, Liz, go ahead and give us some background on it.
Everybody who has gotten to know Jason Carter over the last few years knows that education is a priority for him. A priority because since the Republicans have been in control, we have cut some $3.8 billion just since they've been in control. Now, the $7.2 7.4 billion of austerity cuts over the last 12 years, or it takes that figure even higher.
Okay.
What I think people need to understand is that you cannot separate education from the economy. I mean, businesses don't relocate to Georgia because they get a tax break. People relocate. Businesses choose, number one, to relocate because their employees are going to be able to send their kids to good schools. And with some 94% of our kids in a public school system, we can't abandon the public schools off some new shiny object that comes along and saying, oh, well, maybe this will work or maybe that'll work. Because even if we adopt that, we can't migrate all of our kids, out of one system into another. For the argument that our public schools and education needs to be fixed, then let's fix it. I mean, let's don't say, oh, well, that's just not working, so we'll go find something else. The other thing that Carter does better than anybody else is understand the Hope Scholarship Program. And in the quote-unquote reforms that Governor Deal put in the last few years, saying he was saving the Hope program, in fact, he has done greater damage to it than we've ever seen. We are seeing the technical schools, even with the fixes that they've made, that the numbers I've seen, between 25-50% of those technical school kids are not going back this year.
Right.
Based on those changes. You've got primarily the number of kids that are going under Hope are going to two institutions. They're going to Tech and to UGA, Georgia Tech and University of Georgia. And, what about our other fine colleges around the state? And why is in Savannah, Georgia, there one Zell Miller Hope Scholar down there? I mean,
Amazing.
we're concentrating education in a metro Atlanta area, and this has been done under Republicans. And Jason Carter, probably more than any other individual that we have in the state house, in the state senate, and in state government right now, understands the fixes that need to occur.
And I love him for that. And we're going to kick it to a quick break because I got to do my legal station ID. You're listening to Love 860 WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio.
Are you frustrated with your current job? Not making the type of money that you know you are worth? Is it time for a change? Start earning money working from home with Autopilot Marketing. Go to income49.com now. That's income, the number 49.com. Take our free video tour today and start earning money as early as next week. Go to income49.com. That's income, the number 49.com.
860 AM WAEC Atlanta.
The opinions expressed during the sponsored programs on this station are strictly those of the program hosts, guests, and callers and are not necessarily those of Beasley Broadcast Group, this station, its staff, other advertisers, or agencies.
This is Present Politics, hosted by leading political strategist Rashad Ritchie and civil rights attorney Robert Patillo. Listen as they interview trendsetters and newsmakers, both local and national. This is our time to talk about political issues that matter to us. Guaranteed to be controversial and always informative. Join us every Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. only on Love 860 WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio. You can also listen online at presentpolitics.com.
We are back. Love it 60 AM. WAEC Present Politics with your host, Robert Patillo and Rashad Ritchie. We're here with Liz Flowers talking about the Georgia 2014 governor's race. We're going to kick it to our caller, Jerome from Douglasville. Are you there, Jerome?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right. What's your comment?
I was calling in because I'm an activist in Douglasville, Georgia, and I definitely totally agree with what she said about the perfect storm between Jason Carter and Connie Stokes being a great combination for governor and lieutenant governor. I honestly don't think Georgia's ready because those demographics to me are amazing.
And, it's great that you talk about the demographics because I think a lot of people don't understand the census numbers that have come out in the last few years. We're just so used to the Deal, Chambliss, Isaacson leadership of Georgia. People don't understand that we are a 30% African-American state, 20% Hispanic, 52% women voters, but yet we have a completely white Republican leadership to the state. White male Republican, conservative, Tea Party leadership to the state. So, Jerome, what are some of the things you think that you would like to see the Democratic candidates articulate in the next campaign?
Well, I think that the main thing that needs to be spoken on is people getting out to vote. the problem in today's society, and it's progressed over the years, I think it started slightly before my generation, is that the average person thinks that their voice really doesn't matter. And it's sad to say that, because maybe in a national election, you could kind of say that. But when you start talking about local politics, every vote counts. And something like this is definitely going to be major, mainly because of the gerrymandering. In my opinion, that's something that needs to be spoken on. If he does win, and I think he will win, they need to do something with that with the law. The gerrymandering needs to go. I understand that Democrats and Republicans both use it, but it needs to go because the demographics of the country are changing. So just stop it and give everybody a fair chance.
Jerome, stay on the line, because I want to kick this question to Liz right now. Liz, Governor Jason Carter, can he do anything about the gerrymandering or not?
Oh, absolutely. And
okay.
I think Jerome's right on the money. So, Jerome, first of all, you're absolutely right. This is going to be about turnout, and the figures that Robert brought up are also accurate, in that women and people of color are going to make the difference in this next year. And we can't forget is that it's not a presidential election year when in midterms we tend to go a little bit down on our turnout. This is too important to our state. We are dragging behind the national unemployment numbers by a huge margin. That's not President Obama's fault. That's Governor Deal's fault.
And tell me this, Liz, when did unemployment or employment period become the president's fault? Because I remember it was the labor commissioner.
Right.
It was the governor. Those are the ones that affect job creation in the state, not the president. But all of a sudden, this president has somehow owned every governor's unemployment rate.
Well, and they've been forced to because of messaging from the Republicans, who only dabble in facts. So, but to get back to the point of what we can do about it. So, Jerome, we're also really clear that under previous Democratic control, that there has been issues of gerrymandering. So Carter and others have put forth. He introduced legislation in the last couple of years that would actually create an independent ethics commission, an independent redistricting commission, which won't fully take the politics out of it, but it'll be a good first step to get us to that place, and then fund those agencies so that's not this, I get in trouble, so I'm going to put my buddy on a commission and he's going to get me out of it. And the Democrats understand that if we are going to earn back the trust of the voters in this state, then we have to create some transparency in government. Ethics under this leadership, under this current administration, are crazy. I mean, our governor is ethically challenged. He left Congress under a shadow of indictment for wrongdoing, for alleged wrongdoing, and now here he is again in that same position. And what's the old line? Fool me once,
right. Shame on me.
Yeah.
Fool me twice. Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice.
Shame on me.
Right.
No, I'm a Bush baby. So it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you ain't gonna fool me again. All right.
And he didn't say it that well either.
But one thing
I have something else that I think that needs to be addressed. It's major.
Go for it. What are you thinking about, Jerome?
This is definitely major. The Democratic message has to basically reach the base of everybody, both Republican and Democrat alike, and I say that because of the effects of the sequester and the shutdown, specifically in Georgia. There were 44,000 jobs lost during the shutdown, and it was more than that if you add on the sequester. If you push that message to Republicans, they will hurt too. Things
That's
like
true.
that are going to carry a lot of weight in this election, but you can't waver off of it. To me, that's the problem. From my slight experience in politics over the past 8 to 9 years, the Democrats are soft on certain issues. They don't push them. The Republicans, they find a message, they stick to it. Even if they're lying, they stick to it no matter what. But Democrats have so much ammunition, but they never use it. This could be an atomic bomb in Georgia if you keep pushing that message. Because I know for sure there are Republican people who their families were affected by the sequester and the shutdown. If we keep pushing that, those are guaranteed votes because they can't get away from that. It's impossible.
Well, Jerome, thank you so much for your calling. You're completely right.
Listen, Jerome, we appreciate you listening. Appreciate you calling in.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting that Democrats have become the quote-unquote soft party. I think that's what Jerome was saying, that sometimes we don't push issues. We're too apt for compromise. That even during the 2010 election, or 2009, 2010 when Deal was elected, I think it was 2010
10.
when Deal was elected, that we didn't push heavy on the corruption issue. People don't understand Nathan Deal is the most corrupt governor in Georgia history. I ran for office in 2012. Our ethics commission consists of tell us what corrupt person is funding your campaign. That's all they ask you about. They don't care who is funding your campaign. They just want you to tell them who is funding your campaign.
I think one of the forgotten facts about Deal is that, number one, he was running away from Congress. If this guy stayed in Congress, he would be indicted today.
He would be in
He was
jail
running away
today.
from Congress. Number two, this guy missed, I think it was like 21% of his congressional votes in a year, compared to Congressman Sanford Bishop, who missed 2% of his votes and had the fight of his life to be reelected to Congress.
And the scariest thing is that even in 2010, the Republicans made it a choice between Governor Deal, who was on the verge of being arrested, and then Karen Handel, who was basically illiterate, who were both running.
She wasn't that bad, Robert. My
Look,
goodness.
you cannot have a governor of Georgia without a college degree. New rule. This will be Patillo Rule 1. You cannot be
She was
governor.
our Secretary of State,
You
Robert.
cannot be Secretary of State, governor, mail carrier. You need to be able to read. You need a college degree. Karen Handel, it is offensive that in the past 4 years you have not gone to college and at least got an associate's degree.
And the government would have paid for it.
An associate's degree. Get a nursing degree. Go to cosmetology school. Something. Karen Handel.
Get some
you
paper
cannot
behind your
run for
name.
United States Senate without the ability.
I actually, even though we joke about it, I think that's a fair point. Liz, I also want to talk about Connie Stokes.
Yes.
She's a former DeKalb County commissioner. She's a former state senator as well. She has had, she's had a great career. She's been a solid elected official when she was in office. I think she's going to be a powerful candidate. And I love the fact that we have an African-American female at one of our top elections in the state of Georgia. But give me some history. Give the listeners some history on Miss Connie Stokes for lieutenant governor.
Sure, and Connie is an amazing person and I know everybody in the state isn't going to get the opportunity to meet her one-to-one, but if they can get out when she's in the community, she's been out this summer already, moving around, trying to talk to as many folks as she can. She was the governor's floor leader when she was in the Senate, so she's not new to this.
Wow.
Connie may be, her name may not be household like some of the others are, but she is a quiet power, and she appeals to people in a very different way that complements Carter and others like Michelle Nunn who are coming in. And I think her reach to women, she's a small business owner. So she understands what it's going to take in this state to get things moving forward. And I think the other thing we need to remember on this, because we're going to hear a lot about jobs. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised after teachers not having raises and state employees not having raises in years and years and years that we're going to see next year that Deal might actually hand out a few raises in an election year. But we need to remember that he's had 4 years to already do that. We've had 12 years of Republican control. I think what we see in a Stokes Carter is a new direction, is a change up to the sorts of policies and the place we want this state to go, and to talk not just about throwing out the word jobs. People don't just want a job. People want a job that pays well.
That's right.
And Georgia lags in the nation behind the hourly amounts that we pay folks. We lag in employment rates. We lag across the board in our quality of life and everything we do. And I think a Stokes, Carter, and Nunn, all of these folks understand that it's time for that change.
Well said, Liz. We're going to go to a commercial break. You are listening to Love 860, WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio. Keep it locked. Present Politics with Sean Ritchie, Robert Patillo.
The lawyers of Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman offer the quality, experience, and expertise of a big firm, but with the personalized, client-centered approach to legal services that only a smaller firm can offer. Practice areas include personal injury, auto accidents, slip and fall, and negligent security, plus on-the-job injury, bankruptcy, family law, business and corporate law, wills and estates, and charter schools. Call today to see why Johnson Hopewell Coleman should be your one-stop law shop for all of your business and personal needs. Conveniently located in Decatur, within 5 miles of both 285 and I-20. Call and schedule an appointment right now. 404-289-2244. 404-289-2244. Or go online to jhclawyers.com. The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Hello, this is Aaron Watson, your Atlanta City Council member, Post 2 at Large, encouraging you to register for Atlanta's Cry Wolf false alarm system. It is a free program aimed at reducing false burglary and security alarms at your home and business. When there's a false alarm and Atlanta police respond, they are pulled away from true emergencies. When you register with Cry Wolf, you are saving yourself from paying fines up to $150, and you are keeping our police focused on fighting crime. This is your Atlanta City Council member, Aaron Watson, reminding you to register online at crywolf.us/AtlantaGA or call 1-855-725-7102.
Yesterday, I got a notice from the IRS. They say I owe them over $16,000. I don't have that kind of money, but the notice said if I don't pay it in 30 days, they're going to go into my bank account and take my money, put a lien on my house, and garnish my wages. Can they really do that?
If you owe back taxes, unless you get help, the IRS can do all that and more. Don't try to fight the IRS on your own. Use Coast One Financial Group and let them help you get a fresh start. Their Fresh Start program that will stop collection efforts, remove any liens the IRS or state have in place, and help you reduce your back taxes by as much as 80%. You get a fresh start if you owe at least $10,000 in back taxes. They're so sure they can help you that they'll give you a 20% discount just for calling right now. Dial 800-531-1669. That's 800-531-1669. Again, 800-531-1669.
We are back. Good afternoon. You listen to President Politics live on Love 860 WAEC AM. President Politics live with Robert Patillo, Rashad Ritchie, and our guest Liz Flowers. Now, Liz, I wanted to ask you a question. Now, we were talking about Connie Stokes before the break, who's a great public servant, has served DeKalb County. But my question is, so she was running for governor up until Tuesday. What does it take to get someone to move from the governor's race to the lieutenant governor's race?
Teamwork. The Democrats in this state realize how important the next several years are, that we can't keep driving this state. You know, our budgets, while it's balanced every year because it's constitutional law that it has to be. You know, how you balance that budget is because you've gone not only bone deep, you've cut into the marrow in terms of taking money away from schools, people, healthcare programs. You know, we're coming up on a shortfall this next cycle again with Medicare, Medicaid. And, so what happens is the Democrats are so all in that, Connie understands, Jason understands, everybody understands that it's going to take a team to move this forward. We're not going to walk into this. And I think that's the one thing the listeners need to understand as we, think about a call to action, which is the Republicans aren't going to let us have this. They're not going to, they're going to fire back with everything they've got. Sometimes it's going to be true, sometimes it's not going to be true, but they are not going to they're just not going to say, here are the keys to the palace, go ahead. So, I think Connie and Jason and others recognize how much is at stake, and they were willing to say, let's do this as a team. Let's set the egos aside for a second and move forward.
It's great that you talked about some of the cuts which have been taking place over the last not just 2 years, not just 4 years, over the last decade, 12 years under the Republican administration. Because one of the big things we've looked at is some of the cuts in government giveaways. Because Republicans always say, well, we're the party of fiscal responsibility. We're trying to protect your pocketbooks. We're trying to make sure that we're good stewards of your money. unless it's Georgia Power, in which case you guys need money, so clearly you can have it.
It's a corporate welfare program that they have no problem with.
Or unless it's Camp Vogel, or it's Plant Vogel, or unless it's the Port of Savannah. And we have someone on the phone who can talk about some of these issues, that have taken place at the Public Service Commission, about at the state government level. We have Daniel Blackman, who is a government watchdog, on the phone. Daniel, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Robert. Good to hear from you.
Hey, how are you, Daniel?
I'm doing very well, hanging out with the family and making sure we keep some of the issues that your guests brought up very relevant, and we keep the right people connected for this upcoming election year.
A lot of people don't know, Daniel is the father of 3 boys under 10. Which I don't know how he does it.
Daniel, we need to give you the Medal of Freedom along with C.T. Vivian next week.
Well, I'm actually the chairman of Mr. Vivian's Family Foundation as well, and I think that at the end of the day, it's about families, and my family is near and dear to me, and that's why I work so closely with Robert to make sure that other families and parents are afforded the best opportunity. So I'm happy to enjoy this part of my Saturday with you guys.
Well, we're happy that you're here.
Absolutely. And now, Daniel, we worked closely on the Lifeline issue a few weeks ago. We're still pushing forward over the next couple of months. What are some more things you think Georgia voters should understand that the Tea Party and the Republicans are doing heading into the 2014 elections?
Well, there's several things. I mean, obviously education, over $2 billion being cut in education over the last few years, really over the last decade, going back to the Governor Perdue. And I think education is important. I mean, we can tout that Georgia is an attractive state, and jobs and preparedness and all these things, but if we're not an educated state, and if our children and our grandchildren and our emerging leaders are not prepared to compete globally, then we're going to have a lot more issues than just acquiring more jobs and healthcare and those things. But in my mind, I think one of the pressing issues that we'll see over the next couple of years is the issue around renewable energy. And I'm kind of biased to it because I'm very much involved with energy policy and with, different things that go with environmental justice. But, in my mind, over the next couple of years, over the next decade, we're going to see a huge push, not only in Georgia, but throughout the southeastern United States and throughout America, on renewable energy, getting off the grid, doing a lot of things that will bring more solar into the state of Georgia and just allow people to have energy efficiency be more of a priority than it's been over the last couple of years. But it's going to take a lot more research, it's going to take a lot of investment, and it's going to also take us keeping those issues at the forefront of the conversation.
Daniel, this is Rashad. I remember when we held a press conference. We did the press conference. What was that? A month ago, maybe?
A month ago, the Capitol.
Yeah, about a month ago, right after the Lifeline.
Right after the Lifeline vote. And we worked hard lobbying because we didn't want a tax to be implemented on the poorest people in the state of Georgia. And I remember when we went to do this press conference, you, myself, Robert, a couple other people, we said, listen, we want to have people, not just politicians, even though we have some great elected officials, Roger Bruce, Ron Mayo. We have some good people out there, but we also had individuals that use the Lifeline service. We had veterans. We had individuals who were in transitional housing, and they came out and they made their point. They made a stance. And
Yes,
I was so proud to see them standing up for something that others thought that they would never have the time nor the care to do. But what else I remember, because I want to let people know how genuine you are. See, I never told you this, but I remember because the media crews were kind of staggering in. We didn't have all the media there at one time. So as the media is staggering in, we began to fellowship with some of the individuals in transitional housing and some of the others that were there. And I remember, and pardon the phrase, but man, these guys were standing around you like you were Jesus. and we're looking at it like, is he the one?
No, I'm flattered.
But you were very personable, and I'm a very personable guy too. And they know me. I'm on the board of directors of almost every outreach and shelter and transitional housing in Atlanta. So I'm old news. But man, you really connected with those guys, and I just wanted to commend you for that because we got in the tussle of politics, and I wasn't able to say this to you. So I want to give you your kudos for that. That was genuine. No camera was on you.
Yeah, I think what we have to remember is that, we built this nation on each other's backs. And, you know, I admire your leadership as well and all you do. You know, I admire Robert and the work we've done. But I think the problem that we've faced over the last couple of decades is that we've moved away from being interpersonal with those whom, you know, not only elect us and hold us accountable, but we've got to do a better job in communicating with just the men and women that, you know, like you said with the Lifeline conversation we had, you know, there are people's voices that'll never be heard. There are struggles that we'll never know. There are people that'll go through things that we'll never be able to, you know, truly experience. But at the end of the day, you know, I try to, you know, focus on building the character that it takes to be able to encourage people around us. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that these are the people that are affected every day by the hard work that all of us put forth. And these are the children that my 3 boys are going to grow up with. And I want to make sure that we're doing everything to connect with them and, you know, make sure that our job is, even though it may be difficult, that our job is worthy of all the work we do and all the time that you put in, Rashad. I appreciate it. And, you know, I think that we all are doing a great job, but we could be doing more to connect those kind of people.
And now, Daniel, return to the theme that we were just talking about with the statewide elections. You know, we have a Senate candidate, Michelle Nunn. We have a gubernatorial candidate, Jason Carter. We have a Lieutenant Governor, Connie Stokes. What is it going to take for that ticket to win in November of 2014, given the complete control that Republicans and the Tea Party have over state government?
I think it takes 2 things, and I'm not, you know, gonna hold back in saying it. You know, one, you know, I like the campaign slogan that de Blasio out of New York ran when he said he's unapologetically Democrat. You know, I think one, we have to stand and show this state and this country that we're not going to waver on that which we believe. I think we have done too much to try to appease to a largely conservative bloc. I think that even conservatives, you know, true conservatives that I've spoken to, they just don't want us to waver. You know, they don't want us to sound like a Democrat one day and a Republican the next day and
Great point.
the third day. You know, I think we need to have our principles clearly lined out, and we need to all be able to stand on them, and we need to have, you know, a consistent and a concise message, which leads to my second point, which I think that, you know, there's no way we win if this is not in place, and that's literally having a coalition. This can't be, you know, 5, 6 statewide campaigns. This has to be one unified campaign. I don't care if, you know, we're running for 3 statewide seats or we're running for 5. You know, those 3 or those 5 have to be run as one election. We can't run hoping to see Michelle get in and, you know, maybe Jason might get in. We can't run on Jason and Michelle and not look at Connie. We've got to run a race that, you know, I think the best example I can give is one of my mentors and close friends is Chief Justice Leah Sayers, or retired Chief Justice Leah Sayers, and she said, you know, Daniel, when I ran and I won, it wasn't because, you know, I had the biggest name notoriety or I was the best for that job. She said that not only did she believe that she was the best, but Michael Thurman and Thurbert Baker were also running that year. And we were able to run campaigns where we fed off of each other's momentum. We fed off of each other's constituencies. And those that Thurbert brought to the table, Michael was able to benefit from. And those that Michael brought to the table, you know, Chief Sears was able to benefit from. So I think if, you know, there are women that Michelle and Connie will be able to draw in, and there are young, emerging, you know, leaders around the state that Jason will be able to bring in. There are young white conservatives that Jason will be able to bring in, since he is, you know, a fiscal conservative. And I think, you know, we can't shy away from race and class and socioeconomic status, because all of us uniquely bring something to the table. And when you bring those constituencies together, then we can start getting the 100,000, 200,000, you know, 20,000 in these smaller counties. The people that are not coming out to vote will be motivated when they see that, hey, you know, I'm not just voting for Michelle Nunn for Senate. I'm not just voting for Jason Carter for governor. I'm voting for a better Georgia. And at the end of the day, I think if we can relay that message, we'll do good in 14 and ultimately on the 16.
Liz, what's your thoughts of his analysis?
I think Daniel's exactly right. Look, we gave the Republicans a decade to show us what they had. And I'm going to use one of their own lines from their highly revered Ronald Reagan and say, we have to ask ourselves, are we better off now than we were 4 years ago? Are we better off now than we were 8 years ago? I don't know about everybody else, but I can answer for myself. No, I'm not. And I think that Daniel's absolutely accurate that when we learn to pull as a team, our greatest strength as in the progressive circles and as Democrats is our diversity. That can also then be a challenge for us because unlike our Republican counterparts, we don't get on some same message because we all don't look alike. We all come from different backgrounds and experiences. And so we kind of say, well, we should say it this way. Yeah, we should say it that way. At the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, are we all going to go in this direction together and pull in the same direction and use that diversity and use our strength to get us to a place in this state where we all know we need to be, where we have the sort of schools that we all want.
They're absolutely right. Daniel, thank you for calling in. Liz, thank you for being on. We've got some great analysis, great guests. You're listening to President Politics Live on Love 860 AM WAEC. We'll be back after the break. Remember to call in 404-355-8699.
Hello, this is Aaron Watson, your Atlanta City Council member, Post 2 at Large, encouraging you to register for Atlanta's Cry Wolf false alarm system. It is a free program aimed at reducing false burglary and security alarms at your home and business. When there's a false alarm and Atlanta police respond, they are pulled away from true emergencies. When you register with Cry Wolf, you are saving yourself from paying fines up to $150, and you are keeping our police focused on fighting crime. This is your Atlanta City Council member, Aaron Watson, reminding you to register online at crywolf.us/AtlantaGA or call 1-855-725-7102.
The lawyers of Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman offer the quality, experience, and expertise of a big firm, but with the personalized, client-centered approach to legal services that only a smaller firm can offer. Practice areas include personal injury, auto accidents, slip and fall, and negligent security, plus on-the-job injury, bankruptcy, family law, business and corporate law, wills and estates, and charter schools. Call today to see why Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman should be your one-stop law shop for all of your business and personal needs. Conveniently located in Decatur, within 5 miles of both 285 and I-20. Call and schedule an appointment right now, 404-289-2244. 404-289-2244, or go online to jhclawyers.com. The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Middle Georgia Productions and ATL Radio presents Rimshot Urban Musical, nominated ATL's Hottest Stage Play 2013. Rimshot Urban Musical integrates the works of a dynamic group of positive and innovative musicians, artists, scribes, and dancers while conveying an engaging, educational, and stimulating message. How far would you be willing to go for fame? Fortune. Things aren't always what they seem. The highly anticipated Rimshot Anniversary Celebration is on November 23rd at 7 o'clock at the Rockdale County Auditorium in Conyers, Georgia. To secure your tickets today, visit www.rimshoturbanmusical.com. Follow the movement on Facebook at Rimshot Urban Musical or call us at 678-306-3616. Rimshot Urban Musical, performing arts for social change.
All right, guys, keep the beat going, man. I want some people to work out some stress right now. Yeah.
Just like that Saturday afternoon yoga mix.
Yeah, yoga
just got
jazz to it.
They've been raking leaves all day.
Right, just chill out for a second. I know we got a lot of serious stuff to talk about, but don't do what this guy did. Sheldon, pull that clip up of our friend from Toronto.
The new spokesperson for
Robert, be careful.
For weekend stimulants.
Be careful, Robert.
Look, he has now set the bar for all new mayors for what not to do.
And listeners, I know you know where we're going. We're going with our good friend Rob Ford,
the mayor of
Toronto, Canada.
Just like Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live.
You can't say Canada's not exciting because obviously They got some good crack. Now, kick it in, Sheldon.
But first, y'all remember a few months back, some talk that the mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford, was a, what do you call it there, crackhead. There was a talk that he was a crackhead. That there was maybe a piece of footage, video of Mayor Rob Ford of Toronto smoking crack. And allowing himself to be videotaped, exhibiting the type of poor judgment you often associate with smoking crack.
I cannot comment on a video that I have never seen or does not exist.
You can't comment on that. Well, good news, everybody. Now, Toronto Mayor Rob Ford can comment on a video of him smoking crack.
Police say they have video of Mayor Ford smoking a crack pipe and making racist and homophobic remarks.
What? Wait, what? Smoking crack? Making racist and homophobic remarks? I believe in Canada that's referred to as a hat trick. Am I right? I don't know much about hockey, but now from the picture of the mayor here with his crackstituents, I don't know. The racist thing, he seems to be very accepting of anybody who smokes crack with him. And a homophobe? Well, I'll tell you, that attitude won't last, because at some point, whilst pursuing this crackhead lifestyle, he will end up sucking and then he will feel bad for those previous remarks. But, Mr. Mayor, while you're still able to speak, can you tell us, what are you thinking?
I made mistakes. Okay, where do I begin?
I find in situations like these, it's best to begin with the crack smoking. But of course, he did not.
I shouldn't have got hammered down at the Danforth. If you're going to have a couple drinks, you stay at home, and that's it. You don't make a public spectacle of yourself.
One, I would very much like to know what happened down at the Danforth. And two, you realize from now on, I'm just going to get up at home? May not be the answer to either your substance abuse problems or your job as the guy who runs Toronto. If you guys need me, I'll be in the basement. Getting all drunk and smoking crack and sucking. Well, good on you, Toronto. Must be nice to live in a city so problem-free it can be run for years by a hard-drinking crack mayor.
All right, guys. So, yes, that was extreme. That was extreme. Now, listen, the show's called Present Politics, and presently, that's what's happening in politics. So if you want to call and write and say, we just went too far with the clip, hey, maybe so. But it is presently part of the political discussion. And Robert, you can stop laughing now, Robert. Let me say this, because I knew I was going to get some of this. Number one, we take very seriously anybody who has an addiction problem. I'm not talking about that. What we're talking about is a guy who's been elected as a public servant to serve and to lead his city, all right, which is the city. I'm not talking about a city. This is the place in Canada, all right? He signed up to be a public official. This is part of the news, and this show is called Present Politics, so we cover all things that are presently in politics. Now, I want to bring out some interesting things that just happened. Number one, he has been back and forth on this issue. And ladies and gentlemen who are listening, remember the first mayor in politics that we knew smoked crack? Y'all remember him?
Marion Barry.
Marion Barry. We remember that, right? All right. Now, that was just a shocker because he was caught by an undercover sting operation. He went to rehab. He went to jail. He went to rehab, and then he came back out and he ran for his office and won. He ran back for elected office and won. Well, people are calling Mayor Rob Ford of Toronto, they're calling him the white Marion Barry. First of all, can we just keep Marion Barry? Can black folks have that? All right? Because Rob Ford has not gone to jail. He has not gone to rehab. He has not ran a comeback election that no one has ever seen, bar none, and resurrected his political career. Maybe he will do that. But until the Toronto mayor can do that, can he just be the white Toronto mayor
who likes crack?
Right. Can we keep Marion Barry?
The thing is, I feel like you should have to make decisions in life. If you want to be a politician, and I've run for office before, so if you want to be a politician, you have to forego certain things in life. Like if I want to be mayor, I can't smoke crack. That's just what you're not allowed to do. If I want to be the mayor of New York, I can't send naked pictures to women. You have to make decisions in life about what you're going to and not going to do. There's a lot of fun you have to forego in order to be a public servant.
I don't know about if smoking crack is fun, Robert.
Look, I wouldn't know this either, but according to
whatever
the mayor,
kind they got, it's not the kind you see over there on Ashby Street. Tell you that.
Look,
they ain't having fun.
Look, in respect of Dr. Lowry, you will call Ashby Street Lowry
That's
Boulevard.
Right, Doctor. I didn't want to because of that term.
If you're
right,
going to
Dr.
be smoking crack, you were smoking crack on Lowry Boulevard.
All right,
a legend. Right. So, but my thing is, I think that it just shows the greed in this nation and in this current political times that you want to both be crackhead and mayor. Currently.
All right, now we're going to say this too, because this is an inspirational talk radio. Brothers and sisters, pray for him, because he is still our brother in the humanity sense. He is still our brother in humanity. He's having some challenges. He says he's not an addict. I hope he's not. Maybe he does just do that in his drunken stupor. But no one can argue, Liz, that this guy had to have the absolute worst public relations team ever that a mayor's ever had. So I kept you on the segment because you do this. I mean, you kind of fix people. Right. You fixed me before, Liz. All right. You're the great fixer in politics. So what would you? Number one, what advice?
I aspire to be Olivia Pope.
There you go. Right, and you do good at it. Tell me what you would have done differently, or what would you have advised the mayor of Toronto to do in that situation?
Well, not knowing all the details of it, the first thing I would not have done was put him at a press conference where your rationale for smoking crack is that you're in a drunken stupor. I mean, you don't say I'm smoking crack because I'm doing something else that's equally crazy.
I am so drunk. The crack I needed to equal me out.
Right. Yeah. And that somehow that passed muster with his media person.
And let me say this. He didn't even say it that well. He said, you know what? I may have been in a drunken stupor, and if I was in a drunken stupor, then I was probably smoking crack. As to say, when I get drunk, one of the things I'm known to do is smoke crack. So if I was drunk, I was probably smoking crack.
I was probably smoking crack.
Right?
But he couldn't quite remember, so what else was going on? I mean, it's like,
sure.
So what you do in a situation like that, and if you know the details of it, to your point about Marion Barry, which is you have to come out and address and say, yeah, I got a problem, and here's how I'm going to fix it.
Right, he took care of it.
Not come out and say, I got a problem, and y'all just have to deal with it.
You know this guy's a radio host also. He just got his they canceled him last week.
Wow.
But he's also a Toronto radio host, and they just canceled his show. It's amazing that his show will get canceled, but he's still running day-to-day government.
It's similar.
Toronto cannot get rid of him.
It's almost like the Filner situation out there in San Diego.
Our show may get canceled now too, Robert.
No, we will be okay. But if you remember, Filner out in San Diego was just sexually harassing everybody, just anyone who walked by. And then when they asked him about it, he said, "Yeah, I did it, but she liked it." Or, yeah, I did it, but she was asking for it, and just stayed for 6 months. If you do something like this, now, and then Liz, you're the expert. Wouldn't you advise your candidate or your official to step down, take some time off, and then try to rehabilitate?
Let's not go that far.
In the public eye?
You really step down?
Well, I would have to know all the circumstances behind it. But Robert makes a good point in this: is that you first of all, you have to. People, all of us, are a very forgiving group.
Yeah.
I mean, people have forgiven a lot of other indiscretions
Sure.
in the past. We don't like to be lied to.
Right.
And we do like to see that you're going to, because we all know that we've been down on our luck in different ways, you know, all of us at different times in our lives. And so we're forgiving people and we're willing to let you get that second chance. But you have to be straight with people too. And so you have to deal with it head on. And to your point is like, I don't know if I'd have them step down, but I certainly would have come out and said something like, I'm going to take a break for a few minutes and check in with rehab. And we're going to put, you know, I don't know what other structures they have in Toronto to let a vice mayor or a pro tem step in or something to let them go forward. But you certainly don't go out and admit in this flagrant way, yeah, I might have been doing this that's illegal, but it's because I was completely whacked out on this side over here. And, you know, if his media person had told him to go in a different direction and that's the way he went, if I was that person, I would have hung myself by my cute little neck scarf. You know, I mean, it's like
I can't see.
I don't even know how. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't think a media professional advised him, because first of all, the way he came out at the press conference, and I don't know if you guys at home and in your cars at work have been able to see the original press conference, but when he first came out, he was upset. He was upset, and the reporters are snapping pictures and rolling footage and got recorders stuck in his face. And he says, ask me the question the right way and you'll get an answer. Like he's upset. And then somebody says.
And then once they asked him, his argument was that before they asked him, was he addicted to crack? He said, no, I'm not addicted to crack.
So he was technically telling the truth the first time, because that was his answer.
I just smoke crack casually. Just from time to time, you know.
Right. That's kind of what he said the first press conference.
It's winter. They have like a pumpkin spice cinnamon crack out right now. And know that.
Well, and you know, so I don't want to take. I don't want to take it too far back off of you know, but to Georgia politics is that we see a lot of that at the current administration level.
Wait a minute. What? They smoke crack in Georgia politics?
No, I'm not saying they smoke crack. So I have my lawyer on standby to make sure that I did not.
You did not say that.
I did not say
don't worry. You did not say that.
But what I am, but the media point is this: this strange argument that we see now out of folks who are getting caught. First of all, are you sorry you actually did it, or are you sorry you got caught?
I don't think this guy's sorry.
No, I don't think he's sorry at all.
Either one of them.
But what we also saw was similar behavior in media response from Governor Deal, who was brought up, as you know, through the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, alleging a lot of on ethics charges, and it's an ongoing situation. And his reaction to it wasn't that it could be true, or maybe I should fill the open appointment on the Ethics Commission or anything like that. His reaction is, well, you stink as a newspaper. So I don't know what's going on with us that we feel like we've got to attack the other person and be on that offensive versus own what we've done ourselves.
That's a powerful statement. That's a very powerful statement. Well, listen, guys, stay tuned. We have one more segment. You are listening to Love 860, WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio.
Hello, this is Aaron Watson, your Atlanta City Council member, Post 2 at Large, encouraging you to register for Atlanta's Cry Wolf false alarm system. It is a free program aimed at reducing false burglary and security alarms at your home and business. When there's a false alarm and Atlanta police respond, they are pulled away from true emergencies. When you register with Cry Wolf, you are saving yourself from paying fines up to $150, and you are keeping our police focused on fighting crime. This is your Atlanta City Council member, Aaron Watson, reminding you to register online at crywolf.us/AtlantaGA or call 1-855-725-7102.
The lawyers of Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman offer the quality, experience, and expertise of a big firm, but with the personalized, client-centered approach to legal services that only a smaller firm can offer. Practice areas include personal injury, auto accidents, slip and fall, and negligent security, plus on-the-job injury, bankruptcy, family law, business and corporate law, wills and estates, and charter schools. Call today to see why Johnson, Hopewell, Coleman should be your one-stop law shop for all of your business and personal needs. Conveniently located in Decatur, within 5 miles of both 285 and I-20. Call and schedule an appointment right now, 404-289-2244. 404-289-2244, or go online to jhclawyers.com. The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Welcome back. We're on President Politics live on Love 860 AM WAEC. Call in 443-558-699. Yes, we have a energetic and happy segment, and we're going to transition to better and more fruitful things. We have Reginald Crosley on the line, Fulton County Youth Commissioner. Reginald, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, now we wanted you to call in and tell the listeners about some of the things that you had going on today in South Fulton County.
Yes, first off, Patillo, I just wanted to make mention it is an honor to be on the show today. Yes, we had a very successful parent conference which took place at the Georgia International Convention Center. It was entitled 21st Century Parenting. We featured a host of dynamic speakers to address many of the challenges that our 21st century parents are facing. Parents were equipped with a host of workshops and had the opportunity to gain a lot of essential skills. So we're very excited, had close to 300 parents in attendance.
All right, now how did parents get involved with this event?
Well, the event already took place, but we will have future events that we would love to have parents be a part of. They can always check the Fulton County Human Services.org website. Again, FultonHumanServices.org. You can always get the latest events and information on that site, and also find information on available resources to Fulton County residents. But I can always be reached. I'm always willing to give out my mobile number. You can always reach me at 404-409-7761 with any suggestions on even events that you may like to see happen. We're always open to receive the suggestions from our community leaders.
Now, what are some things coming up throughout the end of the year and heading into the new year for parents here in Fulton County who want to get more involved with the school system and more involved with their children's educations?
Well, Fulton County is working on a series of events. This is, again, one of many events that we'll host, but we're strategically doing things. These are not your traditional style events. Again, everything is being done with an innovative approach. They can reach me directly on my cell phone that I just shared. They can go to the Fulton County website, and I'm always accessible to listen and to partner with individuals looking to help combat some of the same issues that the county is working on. So again, we have a host of things planned for January. We're also working with the King Center to launch what we're calling 100 Days of Nonviolence. We will work with a host of stakeholders throughout the city, nonprofits, law enforcement, faith-based communities. We'll all join forces to promote 100 Days of Nonviolence. And within that, violence stems to a host of other issues. So we will pretty much be covering a wide range of services and issues throughout the city.
It's great that you called in, because the previous segment we were talking about the mayor of Toronto who apparently has a crack addiction. And one of the best ways to prevent drug use, violence, and some of the crime and some of the other things in our community is to affect young people while they're at this formative age, while they're in elementary school, middle school, high school. So what's something that you would like parents to take away that you're working on with the Fulton County?
Well, again, we don't like to hold parents accountable only. We should also hold our schools more accountable. Our schools in the 21st century have to be, multifaceted. In this generation, we have kids having kids. So oftentimes the parents know better than the child. So, us as professionals and stakeholders and specialists in the field, we have to, take on the responsibility of guiding our parents and giving them the essential resources and guidance that's necessary, to succeed. So one thing I will say is, it all starts with community partnerships. We have to bring back the village approach, the village initiative on raising our young people.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to have you in the studio some of the upcoming weeks. That again is Reginald Crosley, Youth Commissioner for Fulton County.
Reginald, appreciate you being on the program.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, Rashad, we have about a couple minutes left in the show. I think we have had an outstanding episode of President Politics Live on Love 860 WEC. What do you think?
I think we've had a great program, and thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in all across the world. Thank you guys for listening, both inside the metro area, outside the metro area, and in all the other states. Robert, name some of the countries that are currently listening to us now.
We've got people actually right there in Toronto listening in with their cracked out mayor.
Oh my
we have
gosh.
people in London. We have people overseas, all around the world, who are listening to Love 860 live on WAEC. Now, Liz, I want to give you an opportunity to give people a chance to talk to the Southern Olivia Pope, the Olivia Pope of Atlanta. How can people get in contact with you?
They can get in contact with me either through social media, through the Democratic Caucus, the Senate Democratic Caucus, or they can find me online at eflowersandassociates.com.
All right. Well, thank everyone. If you find yourself in a crisis, if there is a video of you doing something wrong, if there is a tape recording, holla at her. She is who you need to talk to. She is a crisis manager extraordinaire. Well, you listen to another episode of President Politics Live on Love 860 WAEC. And remember to follow us on social media. Facebook.com/President Politics, at President Politics on Twitter. And now we're going to go to Rashad Richey.
All right, guys. Thank you for our guests, Gilbert Young, Elizabeth Kringer, Daniel Blackman, and Liz Flowers. Remember this. Always continue to help other people. Every time you help someone become a better them, it always helps you become a better you. Robert and I, living proof. Thank you, guys. Until next week, President Politics.
You've been listening to Present Politics with Rashad Richey and Robert Patillo. Join them next Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. as they cover the present politics that affect our local, state, and national communities. For more information, go to PresentPolitics.com.